Hello and welcome, everyone. We are going to start getting ready and waiting for all of our attendees to join us today on the live Google Hangout. My name is Natasha Westcoat, and I am the founder of artcareeracademy.com, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about how to build a successful art business in 2016. So while we are getting ready, we are going to just let everyone start coming in and introduce yourself. In the Q&A, let us know where you're from and what kind of work you do. We'll be starting our presentation here, my training, in about 7 minutes. So you guys got 7 minutes while we wait for everyone to start coming in. Hey guys, to everyone who is just joining us, we are going to be starting in a couple of minutes, so we're just waiting for everyone to come in. Let us know in the Q&A where you're from, what kind of work you do. Welcome to everyone who is just joining in with us today. We're going to be starting in about 5 minutes, so we'll wait for a lot of the rest of the people to come in. And while we're waiting, you can just let us know where you're from, what your name is, and what kind of work you guys do. Hi, we got Deepthi from Canada, who's a visual arts student. Thank you for joining us. Okay, guys, we got 3 more minutes just waiting for everyone to join in. We're going to start here at 2 o'clock sharp and talk about art business. So if you're just coming in, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know in the Q&A where you're from and what kind of work you do. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I'm not sure if the sound is loud enough, but I want to make sure it's totally clear for you guys. Hey everyone, we got 2 more minutes. I want to welcome those of you who are just joining us. My name is Natasha Westcoat. I'm the founder of our Career Academy. I'm an established artist, and we're going to talk about how to build a successful art business in 2016. So if you got time, if you want, just let us know where you're from, what kind of work you do, and we'll be getting started in just a moment. Thank you, Deepthi. I'm glad the sound is good. I can't tell exactly from my screen just how loud it is, so I'm not sure. Hopefully it's pretty good. I'm gonna turn the music off, guys. All that dreamy music's going bye-bye right now. So we just had a really cool chat, live chat on Facebook Live about a moment ago, about half an hour ago. We were talking about art business and a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today in the presentation. So there are a lot of good questions that were on there, but if you are from that chat and you're just joining us, be sure to ask again in the Q&A that we're going to have at the end of this so we can really dive in and answer those questions more fully. But right now it's 2 o'clock here in Michigan. Lovely January day, and I want to welcome you guys to our live training. My name is Natasha Westcoat. If you don't already know who I am, I'm an established artist. I've been a full-time artist since 2004. I'm the founder of Art Career Academy, where I do mentorship for artists, and I do a lot of these trainings to give back to the art community and give artists something to work on, you know, for free on their own, to help them propel them in towards their dream career and what they want to do. And so I want to welcome all of you who have just joined us right now. I'm sure a lot of you are going to start coming in as the time goes on. And if you can't be here for the entire presentation, just know that we're going to have a replay available right on the same page that you signed up. And you can take a look at everything we talked about today and put it to good use. So I want to recommend to those of you who are here with us right now, if you can, if you're at home, get a pen, a paper, a notebook, maybe your iPad, whatever it is that you got that you like to take notes on, and definitely have it on hand because we're going to really give you some great information today that's going to help you really help propel yourself towards that art career that you want, that art business you want to build, whether you are just an art student and you're just trying to look into what you could do. Maybe you are already established and you've been doing this for 5 to 10 years and you want to really get past that ceiling you've hit, or you are a little confused right now and you're in a snag with what you want to do, where you're going to go, and that kind of thing. We're going to talk a lot about that stuff. So I just want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out, because I know that for those of you who are on the East Coast, it's the afternoon right now. A lot of people are usually working at this time. And so I apologize at the timing. I usually do these in the evenings, but this just seemed like the best time at this moment for the new year to do this. And for those of you who are on the West Coast and it's still morning, thank you for joining us. Those of you who are on like in London time, who are across country, totally so grateful that you're joining us, because I'm sure it's really, really late where you're at. But I really am excited. I'm really pumped for 2016 because I have been watching the growth of the art industry online and the opportunities that are coming out there and the things that our artists are able to do. And I want to be able to add value to your own life and your own work through my own experience as an artist. I want to help get you guys started on a very specific path that will help you be more successful in the new year, and just give you guys more value, give you guys more information. Maybe you just don't know what you want to do. Maybe you need some more direction in what you're already doing, but I want to be able to help you go towards that. So today we're going to talk about how to do this right now, how to build a successful art business in 2016. We're going to unpack some really great ideas for building your revenue, how to sell art prints, how to dive into art licensing, and other aspects of art business that may seem daunting or confusing. And then we're also going to talk about the new mentorship program as well. I just want to let you guys know that, of course, I'm going to be talking too about what I offer to directly to artists from me, one-on-one coaching. And then we're going to do a live Q&A at the end. So guys, don't go away. We're going to do a live Q&A at the end so we can talk to you guys about your questions. And I'm going to be giving away to one lucky winner 3 of my published art books that are going to help you in getting successful this year in your art business. So let's dive in and get started. So this is one of my favorite quotes of all time, and regardless of what you think about Andy Warhol or what you think about his career, there's one thing he was really good at, and that is the presentation of his art and building it as a business. This guy was hugely profitable. He made some huge advances in the art world, and he did some really wild stuff on a community level with the scene in New York. And one of his quotes is, "Making money is art, and working is art, and good business is the best art." So we're going to ask ourselves, what is the path to a successful art business? It's not just having good art. It's not just being very talented. You have to know how to present yourself. You have to know how to market yourself. You have to know how to get yourself where you want to go. We're going to talk about all of that. So we're going to talk about how to build an established name. That's how to build an art brand, how to build a web presence. We're going to talk about how to build multiple revenue streams, what that means, how to do it wherever you are. We're going to talk about how to build regular growth on a personal level and a business level, which, that's about self-development. That's about investing in yourself and, of course, building that business mindset. A lot of artists are afraid of that concept, or afraid of business because they think it's taken away from their art, or that is just too overwhelming, confusing. And it doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to show you how to make it easier for you, how to really simplify the steps and create a plan for yourself. So, of course, like I'm saying, building and running a business is an essential skill if you want to manage your own career. One of the best things about building our art business online is that we have the ability to do this on our own. When I began in 2004, I didn't know that I could do this by myself. I thought I had to have a representative. I thought I had to have an agent or some kind of gallery that represented me. But in the end, I found out that it could be done all on your own. And so I had to teach myself, how do I do that? What does that entail? And you may be asking yourself that as well, especially if you have just graduated art college, university, or you are just starting out trying to figure out how to make this a full-time gig. This is a really daunting thought. So we're going to talk about all of that. So just a brief story, guys. I'm going to explain where I come from. So like I said, I started in 2004. I came from a small town. I came from a very religious background where I almost didn't graduate high school. I was so focused on ministry. I was involved in so many different things. I got married really young, and I had 2 children of my own right at 19 years old. I didn't have any income. I didn't come from a wealthy family or have any kind of connections in the world. I was in a small rural town in mid-Michigan. I didn't have anything. I wasn't connected to galleries. I wasn't connected to businesses. I didn't have any kind of capital or anything like that. I didn't have any experience either, other than what I did when I was in school. So from a very young age, I was very involved in art, and that's what I wanted to do. My goal as a child was to become an animator for Walt Disney World. And I had been working so hard on building my skills as an artist from the age of 9 years old. And not everyone has that story, and they don't have to, but I'm just saying from childhood, I was very determined, but I had a lot of obstacles in my way. And no one really saw a future for that. Although my parents were very supportive and my then husband was very supportive, there just wasn't a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. And so when I began, I didn't know what was really totally involved in building an art business, and I had to teach myself from the ground up, and that was very hard in 2004. Back in the day when there weren't a lot of blogs, and there wasn't any video blogging back then. Not until the next year was that really starting to become a thing, and even still, that was a subculture thing to do videos and video blogs. So I didn't have a lot of sources to teach myself how was I going to do this online. So I really learned everything on my own. So before I go on to this first part here, I want to say that within the 2 to 3 years that I had started my own art business, I became very successful. I went from making $1,000 in the first month of my first year as an artist to making over $100,000 a year as an artist through licensing, art deals, commissions, you name it, all of that different stuff. I did collaborations with companies like MySpace and Ford Motor Company, Mashable. I did a lot of traveling around the world, doing live painting events. I had a lot of opportunities, and I had done that because of what I did on the web. It was from my own hands. It wasn't because someone handed it to me. I made those things happen. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to answer the question, what is the path that is the most successful? Do you have to do what I did? Do you have to follow a certain kind of artwork? There are many different paths to success, and it's going to involve a lot of hard work and dedication and research, but it doesn't matter what you are. There isn't one path that is most successful online or offline. You don't have to be a painter. You don't have to be a cartoonist. You don't have to be a concept artist for games. You don't have to be an illustrator. You can actually, whatever it is that your craft is, what your talents are in, you can make successful. A successful art business is possible no matter what path you choose. So with that said, how do you do it? Where do you begin? How do you start? How to be successful in 2016. Number one, we're going to talk about knowing your purpose and your why. That is going to be the main reason why you are doing what you're doing. It's going to be what helps determine where you market your work, where you sell your work, and who to. We're going to talk about how to make high value goals and how to reach them. So we're not going to just say you're going to write goals on a page and then you're going to try to make that happen. We're going to show you how to actually do really effective goals that are actually accomplished within a very short amount of time. And you're going to be really amazed how easy it actually is to make things happen. We're going to talk about establishing your niche. So this is part of number one. This is going to be what makes your art unique and what makes you marketable. This is going to be the marketing key for everything that you do with your brand. It's going to show people what is unique about you. It's going to be very, very important to know this. We're going to talk about how to diversify your income stream. So this is a huge one. This is a very businessy topic, and I love this part the most. I'd say I love business almost as much as I love art, so that's kind of weird, but that's me. But I'm going to help you guys who might not like it or are a little, overwhelmed by these things to give you some really easy stuff to do right now that are really going to help you. And then we're going to talk about how to create a routine for self-development and business expansion. So this is also an important part, and we tend to ignore it in terms of when we start a business. We end up drained, tired, burnt out, defeated. And sometimes we have a very bad habit of ignoring the the wins that we had in that year. We could have done amazing stuff with our work. I've had those moments. I've had those years where I was very successful, but I just couldn't see it because I had been working nonstop so long and so often that I had burnt myself out and was completely defeated and blinded by the things I had done. I had not had any focus. I wasn't spending any time on myself, and I wasn't finding ways to expand the business and keep it growing. So I was actually dragging myself down because I wasn't spending this amount of time. And this is just as important as building the business and where you are selling or marketing or that kind of thing. And we're going to talk about how to create a game plan for building your brand. This is like web presence, marketing. Where do you need to go to market yourself? How are you going to do it on zero cash? We're going to talk about all of that. So let's begin with the biggest one here. This is so important, and a lot of people ignore this, but this is what's really going to help redefine where you're marketing, how you're marketing, and who you're marketing to. This is going to save you money when it comes to advertising. This is going to save you time, which means you're not going to be spending inordinate amounts of your time on social networks that don't matter to you, that aren't relevant to your work, and you're sticking to the stuff that's really going to be the most effective in the end for promoting your art. So how do you know your purpose and why? I want you to ask these questions, and I hope you get a piece of paper, like I said, and a pen, and I want you to write these down. I want you to ask yourself these later. What are your hopes and dreams? When it comes to your life, your personal life, family, maybe you want to be single and you're traveling the world, whatever that is, I want you to write all of it down. Doesn't matter what it is. It's not wrong or right. 2, I want you to ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish with your work? So maybe you want to be in homes of interior decorators that are presenting houses. Maybe you want to go into animation for a company as a freelancer. Perhaps you want to be doing art shows every month for the next year. Whatever that is, I want you to write these down. And don't worry about whether any of them fit together. We just want you to you're just throwing up on your piece of paper, basically. Anything and everything that you could have thought of that you might have wanted, any inkling of it, write that down. Later, you can go over it and refine it. And you're going to start seeing hints of a pattern of things that go together. And that will help you with your goal making. 3, what do you believe in? This isn't just about religion. This isn't just about life's purpose, but really, what do you believe in? What do you believe art is? What do you believe your art is? What do you believe your life purpose is? What do you want to do? So that goes into number 4. What do you want to give to this world? Do you want to be able to help others heal? A lot of artists are out there as therapists. They want to heal people. They want to help people, make them happy. They want to create art that brightens people's lives. Do you want to do something that is philanthropic? Do you want to do something that is totally selfish? And I'm totally not guilt-tripping any of you. It doesn't matter what it is. But I'm sure there's something you've always had inside of you that you wanted to offer to this world in some way, in some capacity, whether selfish or selfless, whether religious-based or not. And I want you to write these down. And then lastly, what do you want to give to yourself? I know this one is a big one because we're taught in this country especially that spending any time on ourselves, any amount on improving ourselves personally or investing in ourselves is a selfish and immoral thing. And I don't agree with that personally. You can believe what you want, and that's fine. But I really believe that in order to give to others and to give into the world, you got to fill yourself back up. And I know a lot of people believe this. Even as a Christian, I always believed that it was important to invest in yourself and give yourself that time and that place and those things that you need to refresh yourself, empower yourself, and make yourself valuable, because you can't give to others and you can't do art, create art, and pour yourself into something without pouring yourself back pouring something back into yourself. You don't want to become empty and drained and burnt out. These are all very, very important because this is going to really help fine tune how you're going to market your work and where you're going to focus your business. It really is. It is literally the foundation for everything. And, you know, when I began, I didn't realize this and I didn't focus on these parts because I was just going with the flow. I was just aimless in the wind. And you know what? In the end, that almost killed my business. That almost killed my career because I found myself in the corner crying, drained. I found myself in the ER room with panic attacks. I was really, really drained and burnt out. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. It didn't really come to me until years later because I didn't ask myself these questions that I should have in the beginning. And so I'm giving this to you guys, and I really hope you really take this seriously because it's going to benefit you not only personally on an emotional or spiritual level, but really on a financial level. You're not going to waste any time, like I said, financially and advertising in places you don't need to be, doing art shows that aren't aligned with your purpose or vision for your work. And you're going to find that the opportunities that you want to come to you will happen because you are so focused and you really truly know inside out what you want. That was a big mouthful, but really, this is very important. Now, here's the fun part. We've talked about the first thing, which is about purpose and vision and knowing truly what we want. But this is the part where we make things happen. We want to learn how to make high value goals and reach them. This isn't just about writing them on a list on a piece of paper. This is about really executing them and making them happen. So this is actually going to be very, very helpful. It's going to make you feel less overwhelmed. You write a list of things you want to accomplish for 2016, and don't you think, man, there's just got to be so much that I don't know if I can do it. There's just too much. For example, maybe you want to lose 20 pounds, and you're telling yourself, I want to lose 20 pounds by the end of January. So you've got to work out 7 days a week, twice a day. That is absolutely ridiculous. You have no way. Going in too extreme, you're going to burn yourself out. So that's just an example. We're going to talk about how to make those goals more digestible, and we're going to learn how to pace ourselves so that we reach those goals on time. We don't burn out, we don't get overwhelmed, and we don't give up. This is about executing without giving up. So here's how you do it. Write this down, guys. When you want to establish a major goal, you want to accomplish it this way. So here's an example. I want to have a big art show. Well, what does that mean? You say you want to have a big art show, but when? So you've got to be specific, and those specifics are going to help you decide the steps that are required to reach that goal. So I'm going to change that statement to, I want to have a big art show in January at the local coffee shop. And you should name the shop or the gallery or the place you decide you want to show in, because that's going to be even better than local coffee shop. Invite everyone I know, and of course you'll have a list of specific people, and sell at least 10 pieces. That's a scary thought, isn't it? This means you really have to do it. You really have to have that art show in January. You really have to sell 10 pieces. You're going to have to go and talk to everyone, call them, send them letters, invite people you know, go to your neighbor's house. This is a scary and daunting idea, but this is how you do it, okay? So say you've written down your goal and you've written down the specifics. Now, how do you get yourself in that coffee shop? That's where the fun part begins. You write down the steps. So how you're going to get the coffee shop. Maybe you need to call the owner. Go talk to them. Call them and make a meeting. So you write that down under the goal statement. Make a phone call or visit coffee shop owner. And then you're going to have any other steps that might be required. Perhaps you're going to have to put together a quick portfolio to bring to that meeting. Or you're going to have a link to your portfolio to send them over the phone. That's very, 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 very specific. And then January, the date. You're going to decide which day. Of course, you'll probably be able to do that in the conversation, but this is the whole point. You want to make a very specific goal, and then you're going to create the actual steps required to finish each part of that goal. And what's really great about that is you don't have to do it all in one day. You're able to actually schedule out each of those tasks that are required to accomplish that goal. And that makes it more digestible, more reachable, and less daunting, doesn't it? It's really exciting. I actually, when I finally started executing this method for achieving goals, I reached every single one. I was actually blown away. I was blown out of my mind. I had made goals for myself to show in 3 different galleries by 3 months. I had goals of getting on television for a specific thing, stuff like that. I had about 5 of them, very high value. I wasn't just making random goals, I had very specific ones. They were very, they seemed like they weren't reachable. And that's what I wanted. I wanted really to challenge myself to do that. And I made sure the goals were very specific. And then I created the little tasks for each part of the goal. And because I did that, I was able to work around my really crazy schedule. I've got 4 kids, 2 dogs. I've got a big house. I've got a lot of routine tasks. I do commission work. I do licensing. I'm doing all this different stuff. How am I going to accomplish these goals? That totally simplified it for me and made it so much easier and so much more fun. And I'm telling you, when you're able to actually write it out like that and you see it done and as you're marking it off, wow, does that really bring you a sense of accomplishment and relief? And that really is a huge morale boost for you. So this is going to help you not just achieve real business goals, but you're going to help improve your sense and your confidence and your awareness of yourself as an artist. You're really going to feel like you're taking this seriously, and that's really important as mindset, how you look at your career in business as a career in business and not as a hobby, not as a whim or a passion alone, but really something that you're very serious about. And it's really exciting to see it that way, to realize you are a business owner, you are a professional. That is so important. And that's really going to help drive you towards anything you want to achieve. Now, here's the fun one, and this is really tricky. It can be very daunting, especially when you're starting out. You're like, I don't know what that even means. We're going to talk about establishing your niche, and that is your specific, unique work. What is it that you do that sets you apart from other people? So on a piece of paper, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to get a drink of water here. I want you to write down words that describe your work. So if you are a fantasy artist, describe all the different things that you create in that work. Fairies, dragons, knights in armor, anything like that. Gothic. If you're impressionistic, what kind of paints you use, the subject matter and emotions that are seen in it. Do you draw cats? Are there horses or massive buildings in them? What is it that you do? And I want you to write all of those different things. And that could take you a couple, probably half an hour, maybe not. Maybe you really just know what it is. It's very simple, but try to expand beyond that. It's really going to help you find specifically the kind of people that love that work. So I want you to then ask yourself, what kind of people would love your work? So if you're a modern artist, you do very colorful, impressionistic paintings or very thick painting knife work, or, impressionistic work, very colorful and bright. There's a specific type of people that like that work. Or perhaps you are into very alternative, risque, pinup art, figurative work that's going to be geared toward male geeks, people in those kind of genres. You're going to realize that there's a demographic that follows your kind of work. So This is really going to help you too. If you do some research online after you've done that description of your work and you've decided you know what it is that you are creating, you can start looking up other artists that do similar work, and that's going to give you an idea of where they market their own, where they go. So you might notice that, for example, say you are a manga artist or some kind of pop culture creative. You're going to notice that similar artists are showing at comic book conventions or art shows that are geared towards that demographic. So this is going to help you fine-tune your target market, as they call it. It's the specific group of people you want to market to. This is going to eliminate, you don't want to just market to anyone and everyone under the sun. Maybe your work's not meant for your grandma. Maybe your work is not meant for rich executives, but it's meant for stay-at-home moms or tweens and teens. The point of the matter is this is going to help you really, really refine where you're going to do your exhibitions, who you're going to market to, and decide where they are. Now, this is a fun one. We're going to talk about creating a routine for self-development. We talked about this a little bit in the beginning. It's really important on a personal level to work on these things for yourself and for your business, to always be improving, to always be growing, because you're going to become a better person, a stronger business owner, and a better artist if you are also investing in yourself and filling in where you need to in your life. So some really basic things. You want to create a routine where you are giving yourself that time where you're not working, you're not creating, you're not focusing on business, at least the working parts of it, and you're refilling. So one of my favorite things I like to do, and some of you may really find benefit from, is reading a book or watching a film that's really inspiring or motivating. And it doesn't have to be art related. It doesn't have to be business related. I'm just talking totally personally. You want to do things that entertain you, that fill you back up, that give you a moment of time, a break. So really this is about getting breaks, and it's really about finding time to spend away from the work. So when you come back to it, you're refreshed, you're ready to go, you're not burning out. And this, when I started actually executing this routine for myself, I found out I wasn't having burnout anymore. I wasn't spending weeks at a time where I wasn't creating. I was feeling happy and ready to go on my work all the time because I really gave myself a moment to not have to do anything. And as an artist, that is really huge, because you will find, especially if you're representing yourself, that you have many hands in the basket. You are performing several different jobs. You're not just creating art. You have to be the marketer. You have to be the customer service. You have to be the package and shipper. You're doing all kinds of stuff, and it can be really draining. So do not miss out on reinvesting in yourself and giving yourself time to be you, and to fill yourself back up. Invest in at least half an hour. Maybe it's only 5 or 10 minutes. Perhaps you have a job, a different career outside of art, and you just don't have that time. Maybe you're a parent like I am, and you spend so much of your time working with your children, carting them around in your van, dealing with, who knows, enormous amounts of things. There's tragedy, accidents, things you got to help your spouse with. There's always something. So just finding 5 minutes a day is really essential and important. Try to do it first thing in the morning. Try to do it the moment you wake up. Try to do it if you have a long commute or in your car, where you can work on you. Maybe it's just a matter of listening to an audio tape or tape. Does anyone know what that is anymore? An audio book, I should say, or listening to your favorite music, going to the gym for 30 minutes. Give yourself small rewards for accomplishing goals too. So if you've reached one of your goals that you've been working on for a couple of weeks, man, just give yourself something. Buy yourself a new book, go watch a movie, go for drinks with a friend. Maybe it's just a simple matter of doing something you absolutely love, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be anything materialistic. Maybe you want to go for a walk or play with your dog or do a ritual. Whatever it is, really spend that time to remind yourself, build that confidence, and refresh yourself. So this is also a great time to ask yourself those questions. I like to do this at the end of every month. You want to ask yourself, what did you accomplish this month? What goals did you actually reach? And you don't have to have goals every month, by the way, guys. Don't get freaked out about that. But what did you accomplish? Is there anything that you really need to improve on or reorganize? And what can you really do without? So maybe you've been doing some projects that you felt like you needed to do because you needed that cash, you wanted to pay for that bill, or you're finding you're doing some tasks that are totally draining and aren't benefiting you, and they're really not profiting you anything. You really need to focus on what is it that you could remove from your life to improve your business and your personal life. Here's the fun stuff, guys. I'm going to take a real quick drink real quick. I'm stumbling on my words. My throat is getting sore. We're going to talk about creating a revenue strategy, and this is the real fun part. So before I begin on those different types of income, different streams, we're going to talk about two different types of income. And having both of these types is really cool because it's going to pretty much support each other and create this symbiotic effect that gives you a very sustainable and growing business. So the first type, and this one's the one we all know, it's called active income stream. So this is where you trade work or time for money. So maybe it's a 9-to-5 or it's your career, whatever that is. That's where you're actually putting in time. You're going and punching in, and you are working for them 100% of that time before you go. And this is really cool. This is great. A lot of artists have this too, even as a freelancer. So maybe you got a project with a deadline, or every day you're working on a new piece of art that you're listing to sell. That's considered an income stream, active income stream. Now, a passive income stream, and this one's my favorite, but this is the one that takes time to build, but totally worth it. This is where you're earning money from something over and over without time consumption. It has an initial investment. An initial investment of your time and or money. But after that initial investment, I keep saying that wrong, you are not spending any more time on it, but it's making money for you forever in perpetuity if you're lucky. And that is totally possible, especially for artists. We have that ability through two things: licensing royalties and print sales. Those are really fun. I'm going to talk about that some more here, but I just wanted to say that these are the two different kinds, and it's really one of our goals, and I hope it's yours, to create a combination of this. And this will really be rewarding for you and keep you from getting bored. So why diversify? So number one is safety net. For example, say one project ends and you're in between projects, you don't have anything to do, you're not selling any work, you don't have any art shows, but having that passive income, like from an art print sale or royalties, is going to help cover the costs of running your business and paying bills while you're not doing anything. And that's really, really important, especially as an artist. Like it says in number 5, the art world is very fickle. Things are happening, some projects fall through. You're going to hit seasons where sales are really slow and there's not any art shows happening or events happening, or maybe you're going through a project that ends up not working out. 6 and 7, I'm realizing, are the same. They're exactly the same thing. Said two different ways. But it's going to give you that cushion that you need so that you have the ability to focus on your work. You're not doing too much where you're stressing out and you're thinking, oh my God, I've got to have an art sale. I've got to find a way to make money right now. Believe me, I have been there, and many years before I have stopped doing that. And diversifying is really going to help you grow, expand, find new opportunities, do some cool stuff so you're not getting bored. Because you do get bored, guys. You do get bored having a full-time career as an artist, believe me. And it's also going to give that cushion and more time freedom. So you want to spend more time with your family. You can just say, this month I'm not doing any work. I'm just going to live off the royalties or live off these other projects. That's really, really cool thing about being an artist. So we're going to talk about the 6 income sources for artists that I love, and it keeps getting better and better, guys, online. We're going to talk about those more specifically. Let me get a drink of water real quick. And the first one, and it's the main source of passive income for artists, and that's through art print sales and publishing. So there are many different ways to go about this, especially if you're starting out as an artist and you don't have the money to invest in a printer or the equipment to take photos of your work. It's really cool to try out online POD or print-on-demand sites. Those are sites like imagekind.com, Society6, DeviantArt, Zazzle, all of that stuff. There's a ton of them out there. And this is really great if you want to do an art show or a Comic Con. You can actually order them through wholesale through them to purchase and print out and take with you to shows when you don't have the ability to print on your own. This is also great if you want to offer prints right now and get a little bit of royalty. These sites are like, they work just like licensing, where you get a royalty from the sale and start building up some income so that you can invest in your own printer. Now, I will say it with this. POD sites, like I said, are great when you're starting out, but it's not a huge income builder. This is what I recommend to newbies who are just starting out and they need something to do when they don't have the equipment. This is also great if you just want to expand your presence online. I literally only use these sites for traffic building. So I didn't make a whole lot of money from these anymore like I did in the beginning years, but they are what drive people who are interested in my art and want to do a commission or original artwork will go to my website through the information they find on these. What you really want to focus on is direct sales. So investing in a really good printer. When I started out in 2004, I had the worst printer and the worst camera of all time. Like I said earlier in this presentation, I had a 2 megapixel camera from like QVC or something I borrowed from a mother-in-law. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And when I was printing prints, and I did it mostly as an experiment because I was trying to learn on my own, I would print up to 8x10. That was the largest I could do. And it wasn't that great. But you know what? I was able to, with the sales of my prints and the sales of my artwork, invest in a bigger printer later on. Right now, I use a Canon Pixma Pro Mark II, and these are discontinued, but there's other ones. This prints out to 13x19. And there are other ones. Epsons and Canons are my favorite. They are the best quality. There's a lot of large format ones. And I would recommend you look at Amazon.com or eBay.com because they'll have one that is a little more affordable, though it is an investment of about probably between $100 and $300 if you want to print up to 13x19. And I have a lot of artist friends that only, still to this day, 12, 15 years later, will only print up to that size, but they have invested in extra printers. This is a really great idea because the printers that we use for high quality prints, the inks run out constantly. But I do, if you have any questions about that later, I can recommend like some printer ink where you can get that really cheap. How to go about a routine that keeps you always supplied, because you'll find you'll run out of ink one day and you've had a massive amount of sales. It is embarrassing when the day you do all of your print orders, and it'll take me like 3 hours to go through 2 weeks of print orders to print, and realize that your printer's not working, is suddenly jammed. Suddenly you're out of all the important ink you needed and you can't get it at a local store. That's a pain in the butt. So it's really important to investigate the equipment that you want to invest in, what you're going to need to keep yourself supplied. And as you start selling prints on your own and regularly, directly, you'll find out how often you need to replace the supplies and keep yourself replenished. And it's a really huge investment. So this is why it's so important to get into art print sales. You're making this one painting one time, and no matter how long it takes to make this piece, you're saving the image through whether you've captured it with your camera or a scanner, and you are selling this print for as long as you want, and profiting over and over and over and over. And this is what's amazing. So there's different types of prints. There's the basic fine art print from, basic fine art paper. You're just signing the back. There's limited edition prints that you can do where maybe you only have a limited run of anything from 5 to 500 prints. And those are marked and numbered on each. Sometimes people do embellished limited editions. Like myself, I do embellished limited canvas prints where I embellish it in iridescent paint. There's also something called remarked prints where people actually add embellished pictures into the picture, whether it's drawing through pencil or they added something with a painting, and each one is completely unique and random. There's all different kinds of ways to offer prints, and they are a huge profit and they're a huge game changer. It's really, I advise 100% to artists who want to really start taking this seriously. They want to do art shows and art fairs. They want to sell online, to really invest in a printer and the equipment to capture your artwork so that you can keep selling that artwork in perpetuity. It's amazing. I can't even begin to tell you how much money you can make from art prints alone. You'll profit in art prints more than you will on the original piece, and that adds value to the original as well in the future, and that's a whole other story. But also, something a lot of my artist students do is they wholesale their work through shops. So galleries, gift shops, and coffee shops, they will buy and purchase your prints from you directly at a wholesale price in bulk, and then they will resell it through their shop. And this is another way to profit from your work. And it's a really great way to do this, especially if your work is more geared towards a collectible market or a home decor market. This is a great path for that. So that's a long-winded one, but that I just want to emphasize is a really powerful income source. Licensing. Let me get a drink of water. Licensing is another big one. This is a huge topic on its own, and I'm going to have to build some kind of a course for this, I think, another training on licensing, because there's so many different moving parts to it. But licensing is another way to build income for your work, and you don't have to be with an agent. You don't have to be represented by anyone. You can do this on your own and pitch to companies that would be aligned with your work. So there's a lot of companies out there who do art prints and merchandise, collectibles, or they do video games or book covers. They will license from artists who are independent, and they are looking for you out there on Etsy and eBay and your site. They actually search for these artists. So sometimes you'll get invitations from them directly, but you can actually go and find these companies. Like I had mentioned, going to a Target, to a store, researching artists that you know who do similar work, and finding out who they're working with, and find out what their program is to work with artists. You can actually go search for that company online, go to their website, and they'll usually have some information for artists on how they work with them on licensing. And you create a pitch where you describe to them what your work is, how you guys would be a great business fit to work together, and send them some samples or send them a link to look at your samples. Nowadays, people aren't so afraid of artists sending them attachments in email. They're not worried it's spam or some kind of bug. So I really recommend sending at least 3 low resolution images of your work that's really consistent, because they're looking for consistent art to sell. And give them that kind of pitch. And it's going to take some time. One of my little courses in my Art Career Academy is called Art Fame, and we talk about how to pitch to licensing companies. So that's a really cool one if you want to look into that. But you can actually pitch these companies directly. They're totally open to it. Some of them are actually looking for submissions, and they'll have that information on their site. So just do that research. Look for artists who are doing similar work, or even artists who aren't, but you notice that they're doing a lot of licensed work. And you will find that information on how to do that. Another thing I recommend for artists when they want to get into licensing is 2 things. Number 1, make sure you have at least 10 to 20 images that you've already done before you pitch to these companies. These people want to see a very consistent theme, whether you are a fine artist or an illustrator or some other kind of designer, they want to see that there's a consistent color theme, consistent subject matter. They're really not interested in artists that are doing too many different things. So don't take my example. If you notice my my work of overtime, I've done a lot of stuff, and I found that actually does make a huge distraction, and it repulses companies. They don't want all this different stuff. They want to see something that's very consistent, almost repetitive. I know when you start it, you're like, what? I have to paint basically the same thing over and over? Yes. Yes. This is how it is even in the fine art world. It's a style. So you don't have, like, for example, I paint trees. You don't have to paint a tree every single piece, but the idea is the technique, the style, the symbolisms, the colors, the textures, they're going to be the same. You want them to be consistent. And you want to have a pretty good collection of them online on your site. Hopefully you got images of them, or you got a portfolio, a book made up of all of those, because that's going to help them get a really good idea of what your work is. If you just have 3 pieces, that's really not enough. 4, still not enough. 5, you're getting there. But really 10 is a pretty good start. So don't start really focusing on licensing until you've really established yourself a good collection of past work that you can show them, and that you actually have high resolution images of, that you've saved or you've gotten from a company that you've had help you in scanning them and having them. Also, and the second recommendation is, try to create, if you really want to focus on licensing, it's going to be different for fine artists. They're not really going to do this, but I have done it, and a lot of fine artists have done it. You create a set of 4 images for different themes. So licensing companies want you to do stuff that's holiday themed. They want stuff that they can put on greeting cards. They want things that they can sell as collections or sets. So, for example, dishware, kitchenware, hair accessories. They want to have like something between, sets of 4, sets of 5, sets of 10 are really attractive to them. So as a fine artist, totally okay if you don't have that. But if you want to start focusing on licensing, having sets of different themes in your work is very attractive to them, and they can see how they can actually translate it to a product. So that was a long-winded one, but there you have it for that one. And we can talk more about this if you have questions on it. And 3, my favorite, is projects. So another great way to find different income sources and build new awareness of your work is to collaborate with other artists. Maybe you want to collaborate with another artist who's a little more established than you. Maybe they do similar work to you, or you've met them at an art gallery or show. It's really, really imperative that you network. Like I talk a lot in my courses, networking is an essential tool and skill. And you want to get to know and befriend other artists, because they are going to be your support system, your community. They're going to be your connection to other opportunities, and you can build opportunities and just create something with them. Create something, a new opportunity, or maybe you collaborate with them on an art show. And you're going to get opportunities to collaborate with other companies. They're going to reach you, like I said, through different sites. Etsy, a lot of companies go through there to find artists. So like I've said before to other people, if you are not making a lot of sales on Etsy, it's really just great to have your art there for that exposure, because there are people, brands, companies, agents who are looking for artists and looking at their work, and it's almost like its own portfolio. So there's those opportunities there, and you can find them. There's a lot of companies like Society6 does a lot of brand collaboration opportunities that artists can actually pitch their art to, which I think is really cool. And DeviantArt also does this online, so really look into stuff like that. But you can really get together and get to know other people where you can work with them. I've worked with conferences, I've worked with authors, and pitched to them an idea on collaborating with them. Maybe it was for a book cover, or working with them on a new story. That has been very successful for me. And it really, you got to be brave and confident and know what you want, and you can make those things happen. Also, another cool thing is you'll have opportunities to do exclusive designs. So, for example, a video game. I was working with a company last year where we worked on a video game app for children between the ages of 5 and 8. and I did the design of the characters, the character concepts, the backgrounds, and I'm not a game designer. I'm not a concept artist, but it's stuff that I love to do. So those opportunities I will take if I find them, because they really align with my vision, as we talked about. They align with what I want to do as an artist. So I have found opportunities like that, and I try to create work that actually will attract those types of companies who are looking for an artist that does that. So that's also another tip right there to remember. Number 4, and this is a fun one, especially if you're like me and you really love to teach, you really love to work with people, and that is a really great income source as well. This is something I am planning to talk about and teach on later this year. I'm going to talk about how to build your own courses and workshops for artists, because there's nothing out there right now, and I just think that's crazy. It's a unique thing to artists that is beneficial to a lot of artists to learn from, and you could do so much with it. So let me get a drink real quick. Some ways to do that are hold a local workshop or do an online one. I see a lot of artists pitch the idea to galleries, and you can go to a local gallery, a nonprofit, and tell them, hey, I'm a local artist. This is my work. Here's my portfolio. I'd love to teach a class on this. And, come up with an idea or concept. Maybe you're a watercolor artist and you can do some classes on watercolor. Maybe you are a cartoonist and you want to do some workshops on character design and concept art. This is a really great way to build extra revenue, on the side, and build local awareness of your work. Another thing I see artists doing is in A and C here is the online workshops or the online courses. So for example, there are a lot of concept artists and illustrators who offer online courses through their site, through Vimeo.com. And now they're going to be able to do it through YouTube, where they charge a small fee, anywhere from $5 to $50 for an online course that you can take where you're learning from them in art or art business or that kind of thing. And also, I see a lot of mentorships starting to pop up, which are really, really, really invaluable for artists that want to get into game design or concept art, or maybe they're really interested in getting into the commercial world. There are artists that are online that actually will offer mentorships where anywhere from 3 months to a year, they will work with you on your portfolio and improving your art. And so if you're an established artist and you're very gifted or very skilled, you've got the degree or not, but you're very established, this is a really great route to go if you want to offer something to other artists, but also make another revenue stream for yourself. As a professional, this is a really great way to do that. And another new thing, it's a very hot, one of my artist friends, Sonia Paz, has gone this route, and that is to start offering art classes or art parties. These are a huge hit right now, so some of it to an annoying degree, but this is another great way to build revenue and do something creative. You know the materials, you know how to paint, you know how to create. Maybe you want to do stuff for kids, for birthday parties, or you want to hold those wine and dine and paint shops. Those are really fun, and it's another revenue stream. 5, and this one is very common, even the fine artists do it and you don't see it, is commercial work and freelancing. So there's opportunities out there and you can look for them, you can make them happen, you can pitch to these companies where you can do concept art or short illustration work for a small fee, and it's probably like a project you can get done in a week or 2. So for example, I do children's book art, and I take on work like that on the side, even though it has nothing to do with the art I do now. That's a really great revenue stream. It's giving me experience, and I'm getting to do something on the side, so I'm never bored, and it's really fun, and I love that kind of work. So I know a lot of artists do this to fill in those gaps, and it's another great way to fill in those gaps when the seasons are slow, when the sales are slow, when you're not doing art shows or anything like that of that kind in that time. And this is a really big one, guys. I'm so excited about this one, and it just pumps me up to see this. This is a huge deal. People love buying this stuff. It's huge on Etsy, and you can totally do it easily. I even have a shop that's totally virtual prints only. You can offer now downloadables in so many different ways online. And this is a great way to make passive income. If you are teaching people how to create art on Patreon, if you are offering online courses through Vimeo or your site, or you want to find a way to offer prints without actually doing any printing. People are actually more open now than ever to purchase digital goods from artists, especially on Etsy. It's a huge deal. People are creating downloadable calendars, downloadable clip art for birthday parties, downloadable digital stamps and coloring pages. And a lot of artists are going this route now as another path to revenue. So this is a huge thing. It's very easy to do. I teach about this in my upcoming mentorship, how to do this and some ways to build these products so that you can make more money. So this is another great route to go to make some income. Now here is another fun one. Are you guys still with me? Are you tired? Get a glass of water, a cup of coffee. I'm going to get a glass of water real quick here. Any moment my son's going to come through the door from school, so I apologize if he makes any noise. But anyways, this is the next part. This is how to create a game plan for brand building. We're going to talk about how to build your web presence, how to build a brand name that people know, that's in households everywhere. This is a fun thing, but this is a long-term strategy because it takes a long time. I've been in this business for 12 years now, starting this month. And it's taken me a long time, but it is wild to be able to see my work in schools around the world, in television and movies, and it just blows my mind to see where my work has gone now because of what I've done to build the brand from the ground up. So this is a really great and important part and piece in your business and your career as an artist, and we're going to talk about how to go about that. So these are very easy steps to follow. If you're not a beginner, I totally understand. This doesn't apply to you. You've probably already established a lot of this stuff, but I want to state this for these guys and talk about it a little in depth. The first thing you want to do when you're building your brand is to have a website. So we talked about this in my Facebook chat earlier today. We talked about building a website, and it's going to have your portfolio, like your little gallery of work, information about you, your artist statement, anything you want to add to that. Is going to be your home base online. And this is going to be where you link to on your social media, your videos, anything that you create where people can go back to you. It's basically your central hub of authority. And this is where you build your authority as an artist in your craft, and where you draw your potential clients and companies to. Yep, I can hear the dog bark, and that means he's home. Number 2 is establish social profiles. So we talked about where and how to start really honing on where your target market is. These people will only be in certain social profiles. So you don't have to have every single social network that exists. You can just focus on the primary ones, and the best ones for artists are where everything is more visual. So I really highly recommend that you set up a Facebook page, a professional one, not a personal one, and Instagram, because that's a really big place for artists to work at, and Pinterest. These are all very visual and a really great way to market your work. Third, create engaging content. So of course, like I said, you should be always creating work, but also if you're building a web presence, you got to create content. No one's going to find you in your little island website unless you're doing stuff that's drawing traffic to you, that's drawing traffic to your website and to where your art is. So I hope you're considering video, because that's a huge game changer as far as building traffic and creating engagement, creating interest, creating a fan base. Maybe you're photographing your work, photograph your process. Write about it in your blog, on your site, write about it on your Facebook. Get people engaged with you as the artist. They want to know your story in your life. start conversations. So you've got the social profiles set up. This is where, I mean, think about it, okay? The keyword is social network. You need to be networking and connecting with these people. You're literally basically, you're building friendships. So you want to be real with people and be transparent. Now, with that said, I want you to understand you don't have to be that transparent as far as like your personal life. You don't have to tell them everything that your child did that day or when you took a dump in the bathroom or what tragedy just happened in your family. I'm not saying that. And you can be as personal as you want. A lot of people have brush names and not their real name. There's a lot of things to consider, a lot of different pieces in that as far as what your brand and your persona is as an artist. So, for example, Andy Warhol, he had a wig on. He never had his real hair out in public. He always had a wig, and literally, if you read his biography and his books, he was pretending to be kind of dumb. He was pretending to be some kind of character. He wasn't actually being some sort of thing. But you decide. I really think that in this day and age, and with the web, being yourself is the most entertaining and interesting. You'll be amazed at how interesting they think your quote unquote boring life is. You're not boring. No one is, especially an artist. People love to see inside of your world. So make those friendships and tell your story. Share with them little things about your life, your childhood, whether it how it affected your work, how it made you who you are today, how you create art because of it, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be this epic, eloquently written 4-page story of your life, but little pieces, little snippets, little like captures. People like seeing, I'm sorry, but people like seeing your plate of lunch that day. People like seeing your cute puppy peeking through the door. People like that stuff. So find a way and a plan to really start sharing yourself with the people that follow you, because you're creating interest and a draw to your work because they're getting to know the person behind it. Now, this is a huge one, and we fail to really follow this full on because we're trying to do this on our own. This is one of the benefits of being online, is working by yourselves, but no one can do this alone. Even artists, we cannot do this alone. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, this can be a very daunting, overwhelming roller coaster ride that never ends. And you need that kind of community and connection with others who are going through the same things that you are, or being mentored and working with people who have been there before you, who have gone through the same ups and downs and know how to navigate through them and find themselves out on the other side.